pelican with some very soft mangoes. A closet full of skeletons and terry cloth kangos.
Hey guys, it's Mango Kango, and we're back. It's been a bit, obviously, but I'm feeling up for it today, and I finally had the time to come back, a little bit less busy, I suppose, and I figured with Easter coming up, and the possibility of maybe getting an Easter update for this game, we'll see, I figured it was a good time to come back, and what better way to come back than with a Build Ideas 9 video, because I know a lot of people want to see that. Obviously, I've taken heavily into consideration your guys' ideas. I'm just waiting to do that after I release a video such as this one that kind of normalizes the pace again, because I don't want to just come back with some random video and be like, boom, hey guys, you know, I feel like it'd be a little strange, so I just want to keep it at what it's kind of been at, and then from there we can branch out a little bit. So let's get into the builds, shall we? In this video, I have a bit more simple for a lot of these actually builds, because you guys seemed to like that last time in Build Ideas 6, the simplicity of some of them, and we're bringing that back. It's pretty simple, although last time was pretty simple too, and I think these are some good ideas that you can use in quite a bit of scenarios when it comes to building your house. Alright, and first up we're going to start out with a small, or like a rectangular little table, except it looks quite clean because of the angles that it just has, and I think the way it's built is pretty unique. So we're gonna need about 6 of these trash bins, so, and you can place this wherever you want. You don't have to line anything up for this unless you need it in a specific spot, but for this it's going to be real simple. So we'll just place one here, and then we will place our others facing down like this, 2, 3, and then this one will just rotate this way. And then you have a simple like eye shape angular base for the countertop. Now the cool thing about this is you can make it longer, you can make it longer this way, so the height and the width is completely up to you. And then once you've decided how big you want your table, you can go ahead and place this on there using the off-grid snap tool. Now it is a little bit difficult to get this lined up in the exact center and on the edge here, so that looks pretty good. It's kind of off both sides the same amount, and it's in the center here, so we'll just try to line this one up pretty well, and I'd say that looks pretty good. Obviously maybe it could be pushed a little bit more this way, but for the demonstration of this video I'd say this looks very, very good for a table. And then we can go ahead and recolor it. For the base I'm going to give it a simple brown wood, just like that, and then the top you could go for like a marble, maybe like a dark marble. Let's see what we got for options here. So that looks pretty nice, or you could even lighten it up. There's a lot of options for this table, but I think that looks pretty good, and it was very, very simple, and you can even take some plants and put it on there as well. Overall it's very uniform, and I think it works perfect. Alright, for this table we're going to need 2 of these, what are they called, the stair blocks on both sides to help us line stuff up, because this is going to need to sit into the ground. So as you can see, the elevation on here, if you were to have it at a normal height, it doesn't quite sit into the ground in terms of the actual item. It only starts to hit the ground around here. So we're going to just line this up with the edge of this stair brick right here until it hits the ground. So it is hitting the ground here, and then I'm going to change the color to make it easier to see this when we have to merge these two. And you're just going to want to rotate this and tilt it until it looks like this, which is like the opposite shape here. That's a better view of it right there, and it's going to need to go in right here. Now you want to get this height correct, so just like that. Okay, so that turned out pretty well. If you are struggling to get these heights exactly the same, you can always use, what I would do is look for a part of the brick on here that you want to line this up with, because it will be the same on the other side. So if you go down to like the second crease in the brick texture, second crease here, it should be relatively the same, and you get a result somewhat like this. And then from here we can just simply put these on top of it. You could do one on this side, one on this side, to make it like super wide. I'm gonna stick with just the generic. Again, it is just a little bit difficult to get these right where you want it, but once you get them there, that's pretty good. Alright, so I have one on both sides, and then I'm just gonna fill it in with this, the relative center. And it looks pretty good. So now you can kind of color it whatever colors you want. We could do more of like this kind of wood. We could do like a bluish, like rustic vibe with the wood here. The whole top could be that. Or what I would do probably is make the top a little bit different. Not sure what you'd want the top to be, but we'll go with like a darker blue maybe, which looks pretty cool. And again, we're just trying to utilize this unique design for the table here, which gives it a pretty cool look. And I think this one could easily be used as like a island for a kitchen. I mean, even this one could be, but this one would also work as like a small little table for like a side hallway or maybe a corner of a room. And you can even adjust the size of this, as I already explained. So I think these two make a great addition to someone's home. Up next, we have our modern fireplace. This is kind of a play on the fireplace that we had before, except this one is a little bit different in its shape, and I think speaks a little bit more modern. And it obviously, with the retexturing, it looks hella cleaner. So we're gonna take whatever you want to use. Realistically, you could just literally have a wall here. I'm gonna have a pillar coming down to pretend like it's feeding into that, ventilation wise. So let me see here. So let's use our concrete texture, which I believe, yeah. So just use a dark gray, and this concrete right here creates this pattern or texture, and that's what we're going to be using for the main bit of this video. Sorry, for the main bit of this build. Alright, then we're going to be using our towels. So you're going to need at least 12 of these. So it is a little bit kind of expensive. I mean, the towels aren't very expensive to begin with, but yeah, you're going to need 12 of these. So you're going to want this to be pushed in like this, so halfway through, and then in one and in one. And this just gives us make sure the smooth side is facing the outside, by the way, with the least amount of wrinkles, so it looks as clean as possible. Now for this bit on the front, you could even go in that C hide mode and put 2 more down to create a super smooth pattern on the front. That's your choice, you don't have to do that. For this video, I did it down here. And then for this upper bit, I'm just going to be placing any kind of block that's a full block, and then we're going to be using the towels again. Really simple, this actually. So 2 in again, and then 1, and then 1. 2 in, 1, and 1. Then we can delete that middle bit, and then we will recolor all these using the eyedropper tool. Just spam color these, and then these 2 front ones might take a bit if you decided to go that route, and then you get that. Now there is a bit of glitching down here. You can reduce that if you do delete these 2 front ones, and then you get a little bit less of that. And then for the top here, since it looks a little strange just coming out like this, obviously you can add any design you want, but for this I'm going to just be adding this little slab right here. And since I want a good portion of this to be on top, I'm actually going to go in the grid mode, off the grid, and place it there like that. Oh, not the right one. There we go. And then for the glass part, you're just gonna need 3 of our regular glass, so no textures or like decals for this one. So keeping it nice and simple. So you can place this one and make sure it's facing inward. But what I mean by that is like this whole like block. Just make sure it's like the block is in here, like not out here like this. So place that, rotate, click, rotate, click. So now we just need a glass texture, and honestly for this it could be a dark gray, a light gray. I'm gonna darken this a little bit. It's kind of bluish, and then we're gonna need this foil looking texture here. And then you can just color all these like that. Actually, I'm gonna darken this quite a bit. I think it would be better. Yeah, it looks a little bit more like glass. And now we just need our fireplace, or the fire itself. And this hides itself, so you can just place it and you're done. and it looks pretty good. It's a nice modern fireplace, and I think it would look good in a lot of homes. You can change the texture on all areas. It just looks pretty sleek, so yeah. Alright, so we have the beanbag, and this is like a refurbished, re-enhanced version of the old one. The old one you couldn't texture. It was very difficult to make it, and now with these new tools and stuff, and I'm hoping to bring that idea into the light again, and I think this looks very, very good. Like, this would be great in someone's home since we don't really have beanbags either. So you're gonna need at least 4 of these bean guys, which are common in the presents. They can still be difficult, but if you do have 4 of these and you're like, I don't know what to do with these, well, here's a perfect idea for you. So we're gonna start by placing one of the beans this way, and then rotating this guy and putting him this way. And then we're gonna take our bean and put him, you want this cross section to sit right on top, so you might have to eyeball it, but that's kind of how you're supposed to place it. And you get something like this. Now it already kind of looks like a bean bag, but there's a little bit more we can do here. So we're gonna actually take our rotate tool, and this is where this becomes so nice. We're gonna rotate it in one. We're gonna rotate this one. Oh, not that way. We're gonna rotate it in one until these are lined up how we want them here. I want this to be straight. There we go, just like that. So now you have a more uniform shape, and it's starting to really look like a beanbag with 2 little arms on each side of it. The real kicker here though is that now we can actually color the entirety of this without it looking weird, and we can retexture this. So if we go here, which is our little yarnish cushion pattern, we'll go to like maybe this like purplish color, and we'll color all of them with that full paint bucket. You want the bucket so it colors all of it, and get something like this, which already looks very, very good. Once again, I think this is starting to come along quite good. The one last step we need to do is to add a little curved seat in here. Now you won't actually be able to sit on this. If you do wish to sit on this, you can always include a toilet in here, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But for the sake of this video, we're gonna do something a little different than we did in the last one. And we want this clock to be facing this way, right up against here in this formation, and then you get that curved edge. And then we're going to take our paint bucket, steal the texture and the color from here with the eyedropper tool, and then go ahead and use the paint bucket and get it on that clock. And as you can see, we have a pretty cool vibey. If this was like in a living room or a bedroom, it would look incredible. I think it looks very, very good. It definitely shows your professionalism in the building scene. I think this is something that would be very, very cool to see more often in people's houses. The only downside is you get these 2 back things, which look a little bit strange. But if you had 2 other of the bean guys, you could for sure hide this, and if it's in the corner of the room, no one's gonna care anyways. I guarantee it. You might be thinking, oh, I want to sit on this thing. Well, you can always place the toilet here, and then you can rotate the toilet, which is a lot easier than the other way as it was done before. And then you would have to go and color the whole toilet like that, and you can actually sit on it. But it does look a little bit weirder. I will say it takes away from the vibe of what it is shape wise, so we're going to actually be removing that just so it looks a little bit nicer. But yeah, that's the beanbag. Alright, up next we have a little pull-out drawer with one handle, which would open up the whole drawer, and it kind of is supported by some legs, and it just looks really nice. You could put it in a hallway or a bedroom. So how do we make this? Well, it's actually a pretty simple one, relatively speaking. You're gonna want 2 of these blocks on both sides, the stair blocks, and then grab your modern coffee table, and we're just gonna place it on the back end here, or whatever wall you're wanting this to face, realistically speaking. So we're gonna put it right there, which looks pretty good in that position. Alright, next we're going to want to get these laptops in here. We're going to need 3 of these. So we're going to actually go in the hide mode for this, or the C command. And we're going to take a poster and just slap that on the ground, as it will be pretty much the same as having a layer here. So don't go out of this hide mode. Do not. Switch to your laptops, I should say. So get one in the center, and this should be sitting one back from the stairs here, just like that. And then place these 2 on either side. And now we have that done, and we can go ahead and delete our poster, and it's exactly where we want it. Now we just need the legs and the handle itself. So for the handle, we're going to want to place one of our stairs in the center here, and this will just be helping us line this up to where we want it. Make sure to have it rotated this way, where the handle of the pot is outward. So for this, we're going to have to follow the pattern on this brick texture, and you'll see what I mean by that in a second. But look, see, if we go up one more, this is too high for the drawer. And if we go in, that's too far in. So what are we going to need to do? Well, we're going to need to go in hide mode and get this exactly where we need it to be. So it's going to just be a little bit more difficult. Alright, so we're going to go in RC mode, where we can't see anything. And it's going to have to be too tall. So like 2 brick heights on this texture, which is what I'm going to do. Just give me a second. Okay. And we want it to be lined up right here. So just this location is perfect right here, so I'll just click. So it's going to be 2 bricks up, and you get it exactly where you want it, just like that. So now we can go ahead and delete everything around it, and then we can go back on the grid snap, and we can place our 2 legs. So we'll be placing one here, and we just do the same thing on the other side with our trash bins. And then we get this cute little drawer thing that you can pull out, which would sit in like a hallway or something probably. And I'll go ahead and just retexture it. I'll give it, for this one I'll do more of a sleek texture, go for a bit more of a gray. Well, that's a little dark. Let's go a little lighter. We do the legs the same color, and then the drawer we'll do a bit of a darker. We'll retexture it just to give it some difference. That might be too dark actually. We're gonna make this a wood instead, so it just looks a little bit nicer. And then for the handle, you can make it any color. Again, these can be any color, but I'm just going for this glossy bronze here, as I usually would for these videos. And boom, just like that, we have a cute little dresser thing that you can pull out. It could be a vanity, it could be a thing in the hallway, but regardless, we have that one handle, which is not centered on purpose, because you're not actually able to flip these around to have them facing the right way unless you're off the grid. But for the sake of this video, it's a one hand, one pull for this drawer. And you can put anything on here, as long as you're off the grid. Just use the clock and this plant as an example for most of them. And yeah, it looks very, very good. It's clean, and I think it makes a great addition to this video. Alright, and for this next one, we have like a lounging thing, or like a thing that you sit on that you see in those hallways sometimes. This one looks very, very modern again, and I mean, it could also be more retro too. It definitely has those curved edges to them for like the base of the like the legs and stuff. So we got our 2 things, I always say things, our 2 staircase blocks to help us line this up. But we're actually going to start out with our dojo shelves here, so you're gonna need 4 of these, and this is the direction you're gonna want them facing after you rotate and tilt them. And you're gonna want it up 1 exactly. So we'll put one here, and we'll put one on this side. Should look something like this. And then now you're just gonna rotate it all the way back up to its original position and put it in that same spot. And you get something like this, a little pillar looking thing. Although it won't be really used like that, it looks more like a support strut for this object that we're making. Alright, now we need our tubbles, which will be the cushions, and just make sure that that fluffy side, the side with the 2 padded, is facing towards the user, or the desired area of where you want this to be facing. And just place this one up here, rebounding off of these stairs. So just like that. And you should get something like this. And then from here, we're going to need to do the same step, except I'm going to be putting a sign on both sides. So we'll start with one sign here, and another sign on this side. And this is so we can rebound once again. And grab our towels. Place, oh crap. We'll place one up here, and one right there. And the reason we have to do it this way, not rebounding off the ground, is because it actually gives us a different pattern to the top, because we want that center crease to be in the center this is the only way to do it. And now we can even go ahead and delete our signs without having to be in that hide mode. Then you have something like this. So we're pretty much almost done. We just need our legs. So let's go ahead and grab our legs. And this does a lot of the covering up as well. So put this here, rotate this one this way because this one will go right here. And then we just do the opposite rotation for these clocks. And this will go right there. And that'll go right there. And boom, just like that, you're done as far as like the build itself goes. I will be showing you how to add seats to this, but it is a little bit more difficult, so I'm just saving on that one for now. But let me just grab a color here. Let's make it wood. Let's brown it a little bit. That looks pretty good. So we're gonna use the fill bucket mode on all the pieces that I'm using the wood texture on, which is mainly the dojo shelf. It's everything except for the cushions, I should say. It is a little hard to use this paint texture though on other objects. Okay, there we go. Alright, and then for the cushions, I'm just gonna make it like a dark magenta or something like that. Let's go for this color. Oh, let's make it a little lighter. And then we'll use our fabric texture here. And then just like that, we have a nice cushioned seated area. You could probably add a backside to this to make it a couch instead. But I do think that what makes this very, very cool is these curved sides for the legs, and then these struts that go in between that really make it look like its own object and like it's being held in there. I think this looks very, very precision based as far as a build goes, and I recommend using it. I think it looks very, very good. Now let's go over how you're meant to do the sitting portion, right? Because that's obviously like, how do you get a chair exactly where you want it, etc., etc. Well, it isn't easy because it requires using these silly cloud seats, which I wish we had invisible seats so that we could add seats to anything. I think that would be a huge, great inclusion for this game, but unfortunately we don't have something like that. So here's the cloud seat. The way that it sits is the one with the 3 outmost sides. And you'll see the problem is when we just put it here like this, that's not where we want it at all. So we're gonna have to go in our C hide mode and move this up a block and have it sitting inward on that first brick right here. So it's actually gonna sit right here. And for this side, we're just gonna do something very, very similar. And just make sure the two look pretty identical, and then color it the same color as the seat, preferably. And as you can see, you can't see them now. Now we can go ahead and delete these edges once more if you were following along with the sitting portion, and then you will end up sitting on it. Now, whether or not this is a very good sitting position for your legs and whatever, it's as good as you're gonna get. I think you could probably get a little bit better, but to actually hide the seat and to make it so this interacts with you when you walk on it, I'd say it is fairly good. Alright, up next, I'm actually quite surprised this hasn't been done on my channel before. I mean, I guess it's because of the new grid system or whatever, but it's pretty cool, so we're gonna make it work here. We're doing a glass coffee table, and it looks pretty good. Alright, so let's place our trash bin. This is gonna be similar for the coffee table. It's gonna be similar to some other of the builds that we've done in terms of these trash bins, except we're gonna just go out in one straight eye pattern here, and we're gonna make this a slate gray, and then simply we're just gonna grab our glass panes and put it on top. So snap off the grid and just place them on here like this. So we'll do majority of it here, and then we'll have a big portion of it going off this side. I think that'd look pretty clean. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then just grab the foil texture and make a light color for that glass. And then you get something like that, which looks really cool. And you can make it more transparent by darkening the gray down if you want it more transparent. And it looks very good. You can even put stuff on top of it. So if I were to grab books or something, which I know I have, and place them on there, you can do that as well. it looks very, very nice and pretty modern, if I had to say. Alright, for this next one, I have a very simple, it looks complicated, but it is pretty simple. It's a chandelier square version, and it looks very, very clean, so I do like this one as well. So to make this, we're going to want to bring ourselves some blocks up here, delete the rest that we don't need. We just need these two right here, and then we can place these up here because your ceiling is going to have to be a bit lower. If you don't have a ceiling that's one block lower, then just raise these two up one more and just continue building like normal. But for the sake of this video, we're going to place it up here. So I'm just going to place like two of them just to cover it up pretty well, and then I'm going to paint it the ceiling color just to kind of hide that. So first we're going to grab our two candles, which are going to be what support the chandelier, and we want these to be in the center. So I'm just going to grab this, place that here, and place one here, and just, I have an eye for it, but if you don't, just make sure that it's in the, why is it doing that? Just make sure it's in the center like this. After you've got those down, you're gonna go ahead and grab your dojo shelf and face them down like this. And this will peer it over the top just a little bit. And just making sure that they're one outward on each side. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and recolor these right away. And I'm just gonna give it like a plasticky, let's go for metal, and this should be like a dark color, right? Yeah, let's make it a little bit darker. And let's use the fill mode, because we're gonna need to fill all of that to make it one solid color. And then we're gonna go ahead and actually color the bars right away, make them a bronze. Well, I'm gonna make them a bronze, you can make them whatever you want. But let's color those just like that. And for this last step, we're going to be doing the lights, which are the Christmas lights, just a heads up. You could probably get away with using the other lights if you really wanted to, but I think this looks best. So there are these ones right here, which you can get every Christmas, and yeah, I usually buy a bunch of them because they look really good as stream lights. And I know a bunch of you guys have them, especially if you build a lot, so I'm going to be using them for this video. And then just place anything above here so that we can work with this little indent right here. And it's actually very simple, so we're gonna rotate these, and you want them facing inward, all of these, so they're gonna get placed exactly lined up with the blocks, so there is no off the grid for this. It's pretty simple. And then for this one, it's actually gonna be facing outwards, the lights, so just keep that in mind. And it just gets placed like that. Now, before you exit this mode, you are going to need to color this stuff. So I suggest, first of all, we need that dark gray for the strings here. I was trying not to color that, but I ended up coloring that anyways. Now we need to color all of the lights. So to do that, take off the material. You could also take off the material and color the lights first, which would probably have been easier, and use the fill mode. But for this, I'm just going to do each light one at a time. Alright, now that you've got all your lights colored, this is kind of the pattern that you want. And you can go out of the hide mode, and you can delete everything around it. And you get something like this, which looks very, very cool. And it's just kind of hanging there in its rectangular shape. Obviously, if you wanted, you could take away everything up here, and I'm sure there's plenty of ways to connect this to the ceiling. Yeah, just to make it look a little bit less crazy, I only use 2 blocks. But normally this would be where your ceiling is anyways, so these blocks wouldn't be going down like that, unless you like how that looks. But yeah, it's like a nice little rectangular light that's hung up in a kind of like a chandelier, so it's pretty nice looking. Alright, for this last one, we're going to be making a TV stand. So I think this one's pretty cool, and it's definitely pretty simple. It just takes a little bit of material. So you're going to place 2 blocks on both sides, and yes, these are actually going to be used as part of your build. Alright, and you're going to need to use some of these modern coffee tables. And I have these 2 marked here so that we have a location for where we want to place these. So For this, it's about halfway into this block. Actually, it's not even halfway, but it looks something like this. And then the back is going to be lined up with this. So just like that. And this is very similar to another design I made for a cabinet, except we're having two on each side. So we're going to do the same thing here. Just rotate these now. And then for the tops of these, we're going to take these and lower them down a little bit. So we're going to go in our hide mode again and then have them off the grid, but just have them sitting down a little bit lower. You probably don't need to have them off the grid. You could just place them normally, but to keep things in line, I'm going to do it like this. So now you have something that looks like this. Now we need to make the middle platform here. So you can either have a straight line across or not, but for this I'm actually going to use these modern coffee tables because they look really, really cool when you do this little trick with them, which puts that little circle in the center. And you can just use that rebounding the back wall here. And then we just want a little bit of something down here too. Some shelves would be nice or anything. So you're gonna need more of these coffee tables again. So it does get a little expensive. Place one here in the back and another one, and then you're gonna want some on the ground as well, and make sure these are in the center, and you get something like that. And now we need our TV, which comes with a little like a DVD, not DVD, that's too old school, not even that old. This is gonna be like the electric box thing that with the TV. I don't know a better way to explain that, but that's the way I'm gonna explain that. So just put that here. Grab your actual TV and go off the grid and actually have it facing backwards, I recommend for this one. Just like this. And then the last thing you're gonna need before we recolor everything is you're gonna wanna grab a Christmas light. Just make sure it's facing the direction of the thing and just place it right there. Okay, so it looks really wacky right now, and we haven't put anything else to fill in right now, and that's purposeful. We still need our two glass things here, but we can do that at the end. It's super, super easy. We want to make sure we can fill this in with stuff first. So firstly, I'm going to grab this wood texture here and this color, and I'm actually going to alter it just a little bit for this video, and we're going to go with this brown right here. And you're just going to want to put this brown everywhere, realistically. The whole of this build is supposed to be this one solid color, so let's just get that all colored. And then our two back ones you can access from the side here. Alright, so now you have your cool little shelves to put stuff on, your two cabinets on the side of your TV area. And you're going to want to use this super smooth plastic and make it all the way black. Let's go up here. And what that does is it actually adds this reflective glass bit to it. And then for down here, we'll just go with a regular metal and make it pretty dark as well. And now you're gonna wanna actually color every single other bit of these that same metal color. And then for this last one, make sure you have no texture on and give it a red or a green for the light. Now it looks like that is one whole object. Well, actually, first we're gonna place the objects inside of here. So you can place anything in here. You can place this plant if you really wanted to. But you can place a plant in here. I just recolored it real quick off screen. And you can place another plant. You can even place like pots and stuff, maybe some books. Anything can go in here. And then I'm just gonna place a pot down here. You can just put it down there like that, and boom. You can fill in those shelves with whatever you want. It's not too difficult. But once you've got everything colored the way you want it and placed where you want it, now is the time to place the glass. So let's grab our glass, which is actual glass in the game, no longer using the posters to make things easier. 1, 2, 1, 2. And now you can just make these our glass texture. Alright, I'm actually going to be using this texture down here instead of the other one because I think the other one is a little bit too wavy in that format. But as you can see, it looks really, really nice. And you can add other stuff down here too, maybe some more books if you really wanted to. And it's a nice little console or like TV stand with some shelves and stuff. It comes together quite well, and I think it looks really, really nice. But yeah, that does it for this video. Once again, it is raining on the outro, so with that, I'll see you guys in the next one, and I actually have some stuff planned. I just wanted a way to come back. Yeah, I think it's a good inclusion of builds that you can use for everyday houses and stuff like that. So with that, once again, see you guys in the next video.